So let's talk about this federal corrupt judge. My friends, court corruption in the United States is becoming, I think, one of the most dangerous elements within this country today. It is threatening the very survival of our country, our way of life. These radical, lunatic leftist activists who wear black judge robes and pretend to be real judges are hurtling this country towards a constitutional crisis, one that we haven't seen since before the Civil War. And they have to know what they're doing is dangerous for the country, but it's all about getting Orange Man bad, and they're determined to do it no matter what. They don't care what parts of the Constitution that they have to grind into the dust to do it, as long as they can hold up and delay, because, make no mistake about it, the radical leftists right now within the judicial branch are trying to run out the clock. That's what's happening right now. They know that he has only 3 years left, and if they can delay long enough, then they can mitigate what they see as damage to their long-term goals, which of course is remaking and breaking down this country into something new, something that it was never intended to be. That's where this is headed. And yet the Trump administration this whole time has been to abide by the judicial system, even the lunatic rulings of these judges. So far, for the most part, they have taken each setback that the courts have put on them and taken it and plodded along until they reach the Supreme Court, which inevitably will strike down whatever latest outrages that these political activist judges do. And then the cycle repeats as if nothing had happened prior, because the judges go right back to simply ignoring the Supreme Court. And it's just been rinse and repeat. It's maddening to watch, and it is unsustainable. And yet no one seems to really be doing anything about these corrupt judges who continuously and with ever greater frequency are usurping the rule of law, twisting it to fit their dark predilections. So this is by Rachel Wolf. Great last name for a Fox News writer. Obama appointed judge says she wants body cameras for federal agents amid Chicago anti-ICE clashes. And keep in mind, this judge does not have any power to order the Trump administration to do this. She has no power. This is Judge Sarah Ellis, who expressed concerns about compliance with previous orders banning certain riot control tactics, which again, this judge has no power to do so. Now, a federal judge reportedly said she wants federal agents in the Chicago area to wear body cameras after a series of violent clashes with anti-immigration and customs enforcement crowds. The Antifa types. U.S. District Judge Sarah Ellis, who was appointed by former President Barack Hussein O., said images of the clash on TV left her a little startled as the Trump administration continues its illegal immigration crackdown. The hell does this judge get off saying this crap? She's not even wearing her disguise at this point. It's like, hello, we're political activists here. We're just going to create our own new law now. We're the new judiciary. We're the new chief executive branch. Listen to us. Ignore the Orange Man bad. The corrupt judge said that the field director is going to explain to me why I am seeing images of tear gas being deployed, because she was trying to tell the Trump administration that they couldn't defend themselves. And the judge says, and reading reports that there were no warnings given out in the field. Fuck this judge. She has no rights to tell the Trump administration on how to defend themselves. Who the hell does she think she is? Clearly, she thinks she's the next president, the next king in chief. Last week, this corrupt, radical lunatic Judge Ellis ordered ICE agents to wear badges and banned them from using certain riot control tactics, which again does not have the authority or power to tell the Trump administration how to operate their police enforcement. But no, she wanted them to ban certain riot control tactics against peaceful protesters and journalists. ICE agents have reportedly used tear gas as they should, and taken other measures as tensions between the immigration enforcement officers and the public escalate because these a-holes are trying to attack them. And she has no power to tell the Trump administration not to do it. They are pushing for a constitutional crisis. They're trying to get Trump to say to hell with the courts so that they can ramp up the rhetoric even more and potentially justify large-scale riots and or hurting people is where I think this is going. All in the name of stopping the new Hitler, the new mad painter, Orange Man bad. Now, the idiot judge, Ellis, said, I'm getting images and seeing images on the news, in the paper, reading reports. Who the hell reads the paper anymore? Where I'm having concerns about my order being followed. Seriously. Who the hell does this judge think she is? And she said, I'm adding that all agents who are operating in Operation Midway Blitz are to wear body-worn cameras, and they are to be on. Which, again, she can't tell the Trump administration to do this. There's no congressional law that she is operating on. She's simply trying to tell them how to do their job. She can't do this. Now, Justice Department Attorney Sean Skids, I'm not even trying to say that last name, laid blame on one-sided and selectively edited media reports, according to the AP. He also said it wouldn't be possible to distribute cameras immediately. And the judge said, I understand that. I would not be expecting agents to wear body-worn cameras they do not have. She added that the details could be worked out later. They need to tell her to go pound frickin' sand. Stop trying to placate this weirdo activist judge. Now, she said the field director of the enforcement effort must appear in court Monday. The ICE facility in Broadview, Illinois, a Chicago suburb, has been the site of several chaotic clashes and attacks, I'm adding that part, between federal law enforcement and protesters. Following a different federal judge's order, an 8-foot fence surrounding the facility was taken down Tuesday. See, not only were they getting attacked, the police were not stopping the attacks to help the ICE agents, so the ICE agents said, to hell with this, and built their own fence around their facilities. But that wasn't good enough for the city. And for these weird, radical leftist lunatic judges, they needed to see attacks on ICE agents to happen, so they took down the barrier. But now that the barrier's down and we're back to gassing weirdo radicals who are trying to attack ICE, now it's, you can't do that. I mean, you'd almost get the feeling, if I didn't know better, that she wants to see ICE agents killed. And I don't think that's too far-fetched to say. She's trying to do everything she possibly can to make sure that they are unable to defend themselves. So the lunatic radicals, her brown shirts, the wannabe fascists who are trying to attack ICE agents at every available opportunity are given the best opportunity to do so. They want the clashes to happen. She wants there to be riot gear on the streets, batons out, and bare bloody knuckled fighting on the streets, which will inevitably lead to somebody getting killed here. Now, following a different federal judge's order, an 8-foot fence, Tuesday, the fence was reportedly put up last month and caused tension between federal and local officials, again, because they want ICE agents to be attacked. The Broadview Fire Department reportedly informed the DHS that the fence was built without permission. Who the fuck cares what the stupid Broadview Fire Department says? This is an emergency where you have a federal building attacked daily for weeks and months at a time. But oh no, didn't have permission on a public street. Color me not sad and not sympathetic whatsoever. And of course, this was under the village's jurisdiction, according to Fox 32. Danny says, declare first stage martial law. If that doesn't work, go right to third stage. And for badges, give them all 744, then ask their names. It's Malloy. Well, I think inevitably that's where this is all going to go. At some point, there's going to be a national emergency declared because once the violence gets to the point where ICE agents start getting killed with some kind of regularity, and we're almost there now, then yeah, I think you're going to see this happen. Sharon says common sense people should be able to see through this. Yeah, well, I think common sense people do, which is why you're seeing Trump's approval rating on law enforcement remain exceedingly high. And it's why we've seen reports that Democratic polling data continues to fall. I mean, we're far away from the midterms, and everything that's happening right now will not directly influence the midterm elections. You could take that to the bank. It may feel like it right now, but no. The American public has the attention of a butterfly, and there will be something more important that'll happen next year. But we can see, and I'll touch on this later, but even CNN is noticing that the numbers for the midterm elections are cratering. And we'll get to this in a bit. And this is thank you to Wolf for sending this my way. But I do think that's why the common sense angle is why the Trump administration has played this so close to the vest. And if not, just told the judges to pound sand. They want reasonable people to see what's happening. They want reasonable people to understand how corrupt the judicial system actually is. Because if it's just Trump telling you that it's corrupt and you don't see it with your own eyes, well, people who maybe have a left-leaning political ideology who aren't insane might say, oh, that's just Orange Man Bad saying this. But when you can see it with your own eyes that the rule of law is being trampled underfoot by the left in every way possible, in every blue state, constantly, without end, well, you're gonna win hearts and minds here, which is what I think is happening here with the Trump administration. Now, Fox News writes that also on Tuesday, the Department of Homeland Security announced that 2 illegal immigrants were in custody after ramming their vehicle into a Border Patrol vehicle in Chicago during an immigration enforcement operation. This led to a clash with protesters. The illegal immigrants were identified as Luis Gerardo, whatever, and Pirela Ramirez, and yonder Enrique Tenifi Perez, whatever, both of whom are from Venezuela. A senior DHS source told Fox News that the two rammed into a Border Patrol vehicle and attempted to flee the scene. And by the way, I think this might be controversial to some of you, but I think if you're hitting someone with your car, if you're throwing rocks at cops, those are potentially lethal force that you could kill someone with those things. I honestly think ICE and these different agents should respond with lethal force. I don't think we should be playing patty cake with these lunatics anymore. You might not agree with me on that, but honestly, that's what I think. You cannot have this constant terror being enforced by these brown shirts and expect rule of law to continue. Because once Trump is gone, the next president that comes in is either going to be a leftist or probably a weaker at the knees Republican like we normally get. I mean, you never know, right? But you'd have to assume that you're not going to continue to get this kind of focus on illegal immigration long term. And when you have a crisis of 25 to 30 million people in the country, possibly more, certainly not less, well, you have a limited amount of time to ensure that you're going to get mass deportation underway. Now, this morning, while conducting an immigration enforcement operation in Chicago, a DHS spokesman said a vehicle driven by the illegal aliens rammed the Border Patrol vehicle and attempted to flee the scene. Border Patrol pursued the vehicle and was eventually able to stop it utilizing an authorized precision immobilization technique, or PIT maneuver. And once the vehicle was stopped, the suspects, who were both illegal aliens, attempted to flee on foot. As Border Patrol arrested the subjects and attempted to secure the scene, a crowd began to form and eventually turned hostile, and eventually crowd control measures were used. And by the way, we need to see mass arrests when this happens. They're impeding law enforcement. We need to see mass arrests and prosecutions. At least if you want the violence to stop. Now, as Border Patrol arrested the subjects and attempted to secure the scene, okay. Now, during the clash with protesters that followed the incident, federal officers deployed tear gas, exposing 13 Chicago police officers on the scene to the riot control agent. Well, too bad. Several Democrats, including Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker, who needs a salad, has pushed back on the Trump administration's immigration enforcement policies. President Donald Trump recently called for Pritzker and Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson to be arrested for failing to protect federal ICE agents. It's more than failing to protect ICE agents. They're actively aiding the terrorists, the domestic terrorists. And the fat man governor said, "I will not back down. Trump is now calling for the arrest of elected representatives checking his power. What else is left on the path to full-blown authoritarianism? We must all stand up and speak out." Of course, these are the guys making sure that it escalates this way because they want the illegal aliens to remain, because they're looking at permanent power if they can just get this underclass citizen amnesty. That's the goal. Now, Fox News Digital contacted the stupid Judge Ellis, which acknowledged the judge's courtroom statements, but noted an official order has not yet been issued regarding requiring federal agents to wear body cameras. The White House declined to comment, saying it would need the full order to do so. So, again, you just got a retarded judge, a political activist judge, popping off at the mouth, thinking that she can tell the Trump administration how to operate their agents here. And she can't do that. Article 2 vests law enforcement execution with the president as chief executive, not some stupid federal judge. Judges are not elected. They're not accountable. And they do not get to run the Department of Homeland Security's operations. Full stop. For judges to be able to do this, you would have to have explicit congressional authorization, which they don't. You don't have congressional authorization saying that body cams must be used for Justice Department. You don't have any of this stuff. So these judges are trying to usurp power from the executive branch. That's what's happening here. And this isn't isolated, and I think we all know that. This is part of the pattern. District judges are going to continue to defy the Supreme Court, the rule of law, and they're just continuing to issue their nationwide injunctions. From immigration policy to border enforcement. It never ends. And if these courts are able to get away with this, then you will have tyranny without end from the judicial branch. So, I don't know. I don't know how you stop this short of telling the judges to pound sand, remove them, because you already have the Supreme Court backing up the Trump administration saying you can't do this kind of stuff, and yet they continue to put this stuff out there. They continue to attempt to thwart the rule of law. And at some point, you have to get rid of these judges. And until that happens, this is just going to continue. Or the Trump administration can choose to just ignore them. But of course, that too is rife with peril. Danny Hahn says, "I'd love to see Jabba the Prickster in orange." Yeah, doing the perp walk, I don't think I'd feel bad for him. And hey, he might get better, more, less fat-inducing food in jail. Man. So that's court corruption in the U.S. Thank you, radical leftist lunatic judicial branch, for giving us this wonderful adventure of political activism.